Hello, welcome to BeCollaboration's podcast, Journey of Possibility. And I'm really thrilled today on International Women's Day to be joined by Gina Gardiner. Gina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here. Really excited.
Fantastic. So let's first of all find out a little bit about what attracted you to BeCollaboration and kind of what was the catalyst that kind of got you together, and then we'll then take it back to your journey at the beginning and how you started to be where you are today, really.
I'd heard about BeCollaboration for a couple of years through a member, Gavin, and he talked about how this was a network that wasn't a network, that it was around personal and, I would say, spiritual development, which I'm very interested in and is very much about the work that I do. And I was very attracted to the fact that this was about getting to know people, to be able to share, and for me, because I support an enormous number of people, it's important, I think, to fill yourself up. And this was an opportunity, I felt, to go and have a look and see whether or not BeCollaboration would give me an opportunity to share and to collaborate. But at the same time, it would be time for me.
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people say it's like their me time. Some people are one-man band, solopreneurs, as it were, and they go, this is the time I come out and I know that I'm going to be filled up with, it's the good vibe sensation, isn't it? The energy in the room is very much one of, give me a hug, if you're having a bad day, there's a hug. If you're having a good day, there's a hug. If there's stuff you need to learn, it's there. You can ask the questions. If you need to be pushed, you can ask for that and somebody will challenge you on what you're doing. There is a space for it. So I can understand how already where you're supporting so many people, it's in your nature to want to support and help other people.
And that's given for me. That's who I am.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see why you're attracted to being in that environment. But for you to have other people go, how can I help? What can I do? So someone else is supporting you.
And also, having a conversation about the values, for example. I've done values work myself, and I've done values work with other people, over and over again. But it's interesting, isn't it, that when you talk about a value and other people bring up their ideas, sometimes you think, yeah, that's great, and other times you think, no. Why do I think no?
Yes.
And for me, the power of language and the language that we use is almost everything. So we use these big words, but what does that mean in real terms, in terms of what we believe is the sort of essence of it, but also what behaviours do you need to experience or to demonstrate in order for that value to become live? Because otherwise it's just a word, isn't it?
Yeah, even when you work out where it's come from, and it shocks you, like, oh, I never realised that's the basis of the word, whether it's the Latin origin or Greek definition or whatever. Going back to the core values, one of the discussions I always remember was when we were talking about collaboration, and somebody said harmony, and I'm like, and it was the first time it had come to me, having worked and researched and looked into it, and collaboration, blah, blah, blah. You got so much collaboration, but all of a sudden the word harmony just went pew.
And I would agree that it is about harmony, but it's also having the confidence in the group to be able to be discordant and say, I don't agree with that.
Yes.
And that it's a safe place to do that. And people won't take it, I hope, personally. But actually, it gives them and you an opportunity to explore your beliefs and your map of the world in a safe environment, but where there is an element of challenge. And to be honest with you, Jill, I've been doing this stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
The vast majority of stuff is very, very familiar.
Yes. Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
And if it wasn't, I'd be a bit worried.
That's a good point.
Yeah. However, there's always a different take on it. And there was an example in yesterday's meeting. The lady whose name I've forgotten, which is really awful of me, was talking about a Danish word around, and this is my interpretation, of having an environment which engenders good health, good working together, hug out together.
HYGGE, isn't it? Yeah.
And she used the word comfort. And it was an interesting one, because for me, comfort and getting too comfortable can have a different connotation. So whilst I absolutely agreed with the principle of what she was talking about, the language about being comfortable for me had some warning signs, because there are many people who want to stay in, and I'm sure that's not how she meant it.
No.
Not staying in our comfort zone, being challenged to have that significant professional grown-up conversation that is actually incredibly uncomfortable at times.
Yes.
But through that, you grow. And it's how do you do that in a constructive way that doesn't put people in a corner or make them feel lesser, but at the same time challenges their thinking. And I think the structure of BeCollaboration does that beautifully.
Thank you. That's really good to know. One of my takeouts when we had a meeting over in Surrey once was an 18-year-old. Was it Surrey? No, it was London. An 18-year-old was there, and he said afterwards, he said, I wish that school was more like this. And I thought, oh, that's really lovely. Why is that? He said, well, I didn't fear when I put my hand up, that anyone would ridicule me or anyone would think I was stupid, and I felt like I was being listened to.
And, people being listened to, being seen, truly seen, being validated. For me, that's a really important part of the work that I do, both with individuals and with the membership group that I've recently set up.
Yeah.
We live in a world which is fast-paced. People often have a better relationship with their screen than they do with their family. And I think it does. And I think more and more we need to be in a situation where we are aware of how important it is for us as individuals, but also that we have the capacity to nurture others. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't think it's any coincidence that we're talking on International Women's Day.
Yeah.
The traditional role for women is to nurture.
Yes.
Isn't it? I'm not saying men can't, because I believe they can very well. But the traditional role is that women will mother, will nurture, will support the growth. But I think that for me, part of that nurturing is providing a safe space where you can challenge. Because if you don't challenge people's thinking, their behaviour, their way of being in a constructive way, people stay stuck where they are.
Yeah.
And I know you coach, but we both come across people who are, have decades of life experience, but are still stuck in that emotional place.
Yeah.
Because nobody's challenged their childish behaviour. And I'm all for being childlike, awe and wonder.
Yes.
But actually, childish behaviour, I think, is something that we need to grow out of.
Yeah, because if people have been allowed to get away with it, they will continue, because that's what they feel works for them, and that's what they feel they should be, or it's a go-to resort when they can't get their own way. They go down the road of what's always worked for them, and as you say, that can be childish behaviour.
95% of what we think, what we say, what we do is habitual.
Yes.
It doesn't cross our conscious thought.
No.
We just do it because that's what we've done. And it's only when you're aware that you can actually say, I have a choice. I don't have to react in that way. And lots of people come to me and say, I'm having trouble with my mother-in-law or with my partner or my boss or colleagues or whoever. And, I want you to help me be able to change them. And I have to say, no, change the way in which you deal with them, which may create a change in them.
Yes.
But the only person you have total responsibility for is you. And so, looking at how you respond, looking at how you react to these people, make no mistake, a lot of it will be a habitual reaction that just, you get fire on top of fire on top of fire.
Yeah. We did have that once, actually, at a meeting when Erkan was illustrating people sometimes do this, and gave that kind of reaction. But he used somebody in the room as Fred, let's say, would sometimes does this and this, and it happened that he picked on the one person that did do that. So the one Fred in the room thought Erkan was having a go particularly at him, and he wasn't. He was just using it as an off the cuff remark that, you know, as an example. But because this actually hit the trigger, he immediately went oof, and you could see the kind of, how dare you listen, and everyone was like, whoa. You know, and then at the end of it, when he kind of had time to realize that I'm in a safe space, I've reacted to something, everyone's looking at me like I'm mad, obviously I've taken something slightly wrong, and then we worked through it with him, and he was like, yeah, all right, I see what happened now, and he was able to do it. But I think in a lot of situations, had it not been the BeCollaboration space, he would have upped and left.
Yes,
because he was that cross over something that was a misunderstanding.
Or you know, in other situations, it would have ended up with an argument, and for some people, fisticuffs, for some people, violence, because the reaction has then triggered a chain reaction.
Yeah, and all based, past-based. Habits.
It's difficult to bring it back, and so making people aware that, you know, once you're aware that 95% of what we do is habitual, and then you start to be aware of your patterns of behavior, then you have a choice. Everything in life's a choice, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You choose not to choose, but that's still a choice, and every choice has consequences. And so giving people that opportunity to step back, as that guy did once he started to step back in perspective, then he had different options. Most people don't take the time to step back.
No, that's true. And I think you've got to feel like you're in a safe space in order to do that for yourself. And if you're in the rat race, as you say, too much screen time, not good relationships, all you're preserving is yourself. It's like, you know, there's this fear out there that I can't move away from my habits because they're my security blanket, because that's who I know, that's who I am. And people don't understand that it's not who you are. It's just a habit that you've got yourself into. However, whether that be food or whatever the scenario that you might find for yourself.
Are you familiar with the principle of strong suits?
Yes, yeah.
So for those of you that are listening who might not be, a strong suit is when you're young, something happens and you create a way of dealing with that, and it works. And so something similar happens, so you use it again, and you use it again and again and again until it's your go-to place. And very often to the point of it being destructive.
Yes.
So I can give you a personal example.
Go for it.
I'm a recovering workaholic.
Why am I not surprised?
Not alk, I know.
No. It's all addiction, though. It's all addiction.
And one of the main reasons why I became a workaholic is I became significantly disabled, and we'll maybe have a chance to explore that a bit later. And I've lived with pain since 1983. And the one thing that makes a huge difference is if I'm interested in what I'm doing and I'm engaged in that, I turn the body off.
Yes.
And so I don't feel pain during my waking hours when I'm doing stuff. And when I was at work, and when I am at work, because of the way my work is organised, I'm not disabled at all. I use my brain, my mouth, you can tell that works, my hands, and so I don't have to face that I'm disabled. Now, I went on a course and they were doing values. This is going back years, and I'd done values any number of times, but I was doing my values again, and somebody said to me, "Do you know health isn't one of your top 10 values?" And I hadn't noticed. And I didn't think it when I started to review what I'd done. I thought, you know, I can hear myself saying, "There's no decision to make in the morning. Doesn't matter how bad I feel. I'm going to get up because I know I'll feel better once I get engaged." And I didn't listen to my body, and I didn't listen to my body, and so my disability became greater. Now, who knows whether the disability would have got to where it was? But if I just say to you, I'd come out of hospital, I'd been in 8 weeks, I'd had a second failed back surgery, and I was back at school 4 days later. Now, if I'd stayed at home, if somebody hadn't left me out a cup and hadn't filled the kettle, I couldn't make a drink.
Oh my goodness.